What's up, guys? We're back. We got a video. It's from War Leaks. This guy has awesome footage. It's Kraken versus the Russian 26th Tank Regiment. The narrator of War Leaks gives us a little rundown, and then I believe it shows the combat footage, so it'll be cool. So a couple things real quick. My name is Saxon. I go by Vegas here in Ukraine. I joined the International Legion for the defense of Ukraine in January of 2023. I'm still in Ukraine. I'm no longer with the Legion. Now I'm with Azov, specifically Azov International Battalion. This is by far the most professional unit that I have been with, worked with, been around. We are recruiting. So if you are here in Ukraine, you're on your way out to Ukraine, you got a friend that is going out to Ukraine or in Ukraine and they're stuck in a not so desirable unit, hit us up. My email is linked down below. That's my personal email. I message you guys all day, every day. If you have emailed with me, let them know in the comments so people know we're really fucking talking to you. There's also a bunch of you guys that started as viewers that are now here in Ukraine in this unit. So it's really cool. So hit me up in my email or go straight to the website Azov International. That'll be linked down below as well, and you can apply directly right there. With that said, we can jump into this, and I will stop talking. I won't get too political, but looks like I haven't seen too much more of anything retarded Trump has said about Ukraine. Thank God. Let's move forward.
Welcome to a new Ukraine war. Short disclaimer, this is a cut version. You can find the full version with scenes I cannot show here by becoming a member on my private Telegram channel. The link is in the description. If you appreciate the effort I put into this video, please leave a like and comment. Heavy clashes between Ukrainian and Russian forces took place in the north in the region of Kupiansk and in the area around Donetsk, southeast of Kupiansk.
Kupiansk is where I was stationed when in 2023. I was there at the end of March, early April.
Was intense fighting documented in the corridor between the towns of Ivanivka and Yahitny. There, the Ukrainian Kraken regiment that is classified as Special Operations Force defended the town from heavy Russian assaults conducted by mechanized units of the Russian 26th Tank Regiment. If we take a look at the bigger picture, however, we can see that most likely more units were involved in the battle. Additionally, the Ukrainian troops had fire support in the form of artillery, mortars and the MLRS HIMARS rocket system that reportedly struck targets in the region. Helmet cam and drone footage captured pretty well how this battle actually was fought on the ground. The Ukrainian operators made use of interesting assets here, including a Black Hornet PD-100, a micro UAV primarily used for reconnaissance purposes. Due to its small size, it is very useful at close ranges, which typically refer to distances between 1 and 2 kilometers in this context. Most of the engagements took place in the gray zone between the Russian and Ukrainian held territory, where the first stage of the battle was most likely documented in this area. Ukrainian soldiers had to work through the tree line that was separating the gray zone. A pair of Russians managed to man a dugout, but the Ukrainians cleared it immediately. This was only the first wave of attacks the fighters had to face. Meanwhile, a Russian T-72B3 was sent in to shell the tree line and took a direct hit. The tank was most likely sent in to relieve pressure from the Russian foot soldiers in the tree line. From the cover of their trenches, the Ukrainians continued to engage Russian troops with small arms fire and disposable rocket launchers. From the videos released from this battle, it strongly looks like the Russians had a pretty hard time maneuvering on the Ukrainian trenches. The Russian fire team who took position behind the destroyed armored vehicle, however, managed to set up a proper base of fire to engage the Ukrainians in their trench. In an attempt to increase the pressure on the Ukrainian defenders, a BMP platoon led by a tank launched an...
See, not all the Russian units are fucking slackers, dude. They're not all shit. If that unit was able to set up and fight back against the against Kraken or against the Ukrainians, they're not a bunch of scrubs. You know, if it was just a bunch of untrained soldiers, there's no way they would be able to hold up, fight back, shoot rockets, shit like that.
An attack and advanced in a column formation towards the gray zone. This and the proper base of fire established by the Russian fire team gave the Russians enough room to breathe and maneuver closer to the Ukrainian positions. In fact, they managed to push up so close that they came into Ukrainian hand grenade range. Still, the Russians did not manage to gain fire superiority, and the Ukrainians continued their defense without visible hardships. With this I mean that they mostly stayed in control of the situation and maintained their freedom of action pretty well. The fact that the advancing Russian BMP column turned around and discontinued their push, at least from this avenue of approach, was also favorable for them. Here we see Kraken operators making use of another interesting asset to counter the Russian offensive actions. A 120mm Scorpion mobile mortar system. This system
What the hell?
played a crucial role in repelling the attacks on
I've never seen that before.
Ivanivka. To attack and disrupt armored Russian elements a little bit further back in the rear, the Ukrainians deployed a huge number of FPV drones striking numerous tanks, infantry fighting vehicles and trucks. This war has shown so far that the effective engagement range of a simple infantry platoon can easily be increased of up to 10 kilometers and more when they have a drone operator in their ranks. Cutting down the flow of armored enemy elements in the rear of the front line by using FPV drones took away a lot of potential pressure from the soldiers in the trenches. These strikes actually thinned out the local temporary offensive potential of the attackers, and the very same approach has already been proven on the Zaporizhia front and was one of the reasons for the slow progress made by Ukrainian armored formations. Again, the short reminder that this is a cut version of this video. You can find the full breakdown with a lot of left out scenes on my private Telegram channel. For $5 a month you get access to it. There I can show and talk about things I am not able to show or talk about here. The link is in the description. Seems like the Ukrainians gained so much control of the situation that they were able to launch a small local counterattack with a single T-80 tank that drove head-on to the tree line and fired right into it multiple times. A Ukrainian soldier was following the tank from a safe distance and filmed from the ground. The tank also had a camera mounted on top of its turret. Here the location. The next day the tank conducted an attack again and targeted a group of Russian infantry. The Ukrainians also used M777 howitzers to target the incoming Russian waves.
Damn.
In the end, cluster munitions were used against the remaining Russian elements and ended the battle. A Russian BMD-2 with a group
Dude, just hammering that tree line. Holy shit. Cluster munitions, air bursts, tanks.
of infantry on top of it. The vehicle is linking up with a forward element already waiting for them in a field. A soldier jumps and falls. The soldiers are trying to draw the attention of the BMD crew to something as one of them begins to approach the vehicle. Another soldier jumps and falls as well. The men seem to be in a hurry and appear visibly nervous. One soldier tries to mount the BMD again, but it begins to move and he is the third to fall down that day. At least his comrade checked on him, which the other two cannot claim for themselves. The BMD pushes further up. Seems like the forward element encountered two Ukrainian positions ahead, perhaps even took fire from there, and is now relaying intel about the direction to the BMD crew. This would explain why they seem to be in a hurry since they were actually standing on hot ground. It appears they decided to charge towards the positions, and the soldiers mount the BMD once again. Still in a hurry, however, the BMD begins to drive and leaves two soldiers behind who were not able to climb onto the vehicle in time. The rest of the soldiers gets dropped off closer to the Ukrainian positions, and for the fourth time a Russian soldier falls. Leaving the infantry behind, the BMD-2 charges head-on towards the Ukrainian positions. Suddenly, the vehicle gets struck by an anti-tank guided missile. Shortly after, a second anti-tank guided missile strikes. The direction the missiles were coming from nearly exactly matched the one given by the Russian soldier in the beginning of the clip. This basically means that the BMD crew ignored all the warnings and drove head-on into the crossfire. Without transport, the Russian soldiers are left on their own in the open. In the Donetsk region, Russian forces continued their offensive operations towards Avdiivka, and heavy fighting has been documented especially from the northern part of the town. According to data from the deep state map, 3 Russian motor rifle brigades and 1 rifle battalion are involved in the fighting with 3 main directions of assaults. Most of the engagements took place in these 3 areas here. Russian forces managed to occupy parts of this height after taking heavy losses. Drone footage from the Russian 114th Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade shows the Russian flag waving on the height after Ukrainian forces were partially driven out of their positions and had to fall back. The Ukrainians on their side retaliated for the partial loss by hitting the flag with an FPV drone. It seems that, according to the deep state map, Russia by now has gained total control over the height as I was working on this up.
If you're ever curious about how the front line is fluctuating. Check out Deep State. Deep State, I don't know if it's .ua but it's a website and it shows really in depth fluctuation of the combat zones.
As this video shows, M2 Bradleys from the 47th Mechanized Brigade were also sent into the battle to reinforce the north. At first this video has wrongly been attributed to the Southern Front by many people, but the 47th Mechanized Brigade was in fact just recently relocated to the Avdiivka front to help holding the lines there. In addition, Leopard 2 tanks also entered the battle, and the 114th Motorized Brigade already claimed to have destroyed one. They released drone footage showing a Ukrainian Leopard 2 that got abandoned by its crew and is later seen burning. The hit on the vehicle, however, was not shown. The quality of the drone footage is, as always, pretty bad, and I cannot really tell what took out the vehicle. Besides the capture of the hill, this was the most significant visible success Russia has made so far. In addition, it was claimed that also at least one Bradley was destroyed, but video footage confirming this is missing right now. Despite these advancements, Russia still throws large amounts of manpower and equipment into the battle, and a number of Ukrainian drone videos shows Russian armored formations trying to break through Ukrainian defensive lines to encircle the town. This video shows a Russian BTR column led by 2 tanks coming under heavy fire during one of these pushes. Unable to break through, the Russian column had to retreat and the infantry abandoned their BTRs to flee on foot back towards the Russian lines. This footage was recorded near the village of Krasnohorivka, and I assume the Russians were part of the 277th Rifle Battalion. Also, it seems large portions of the Russian soldiers here are actually DPR fighters. Drone footage later then showed the 3 BTRs destroyed in the same spot. According to a Ukrainian soldier serving in the 109th Territorial Defense Brigade, the current Russian assaults are the harshest this small town has ever experienced in the entire war. Wave after wave of Russian soldiers and equipment are being sent towards the Ukrainian lines, following the tiring, common Russian operational approach known since the Second World War: quantity over quality. Here we see a drone hit on a Russian truck at a Dragon Teeth's anti-tank obstacle site. Disrupting Russian fortification attempts should have been one of the #1 priorities since the Kherson offensive. That, however, is only my opinion. What do you think about this? Let me know in the comments. Also, I would be glad to hear your feedback regarding this update. I tried to use more maps and animations this time to better depict the events and add more educational value. In the area of Klishchivka, the Ukrainian 5th Assault Brigade stopped a Russian mechanized assault, as drone footage released by the brigade shows. From the footage it looks like that not more than a platoon-sized Russian element was involved, but under the shadow of the massive ongoing Russian offensive in Avdiivka and the recent offensive attempt in Ivanivka, it is interesting to see that Russia once again tries to expand its actions on a larger front. As this update has shown, however, the price for this push is high, and so far Ukrainian troops are still holding their lines. That's it for this update, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Again, this was a shortened version, and the full video can be viewed on my private Telegram channel for those who become members there. The link is in the description.
Check it out. Check out his Telegram channel. A lot of you guys, or not a lot of you, but a few of you guys ask where the uncensored footage is. Telegram. Telegram's not monitored. We don't try to use Telegram out here in Ukraine because it's a Russian app. We try to use apps like WhatsApp or Signal, but Telegram has less restrictions on it, so they can post some of this gnarly content that won't get regulated. That was cool, man. I mean, it was kind of all over the place, different fights, different perspectives, but at the end of the day, it just shows how brutal this conflict really is on both sides, right? I mean, it's a meat grinder. A lot of people referred to Bakhmut as a meat grinder, which it absolutely was. But this whole conflict is, man, it's pretty devastating. There's generations worth of families being wiped off the face of the planet, you know. It's awful. Anyways, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Yeah, that's it. Peace.